Punk Rock Elite, a podcast about NOFX. Oh, they're here again. The thems with NOFX in their eyes.
That's good. I really like that.
You like that one?
Yeah. Let's workshop it. I think
so.
Big.
Oh, well, it's been recorded now, so it's going on the front. Hello, everyone. Punk Rock Elite podcast with me, Eddie French.
And me, Red Redmond.
Well. Interview today.
Yeah, absolutely. Interview with two people.
Two people. We've doubled it up. We've crammed in twice as much interview as you'd normally expect from us. So that's got to be value, right?
Absolutely. I'm talking to a pair of podcasters as well, or punk podcasters to be more specific.
Absolutely. They're two punk rockers, musicians, been and done the thing, done the touring, done the playing live, and
got several t-shirts from the touts outside.
Oh yes, we talk about more t-shirt touts, more talk on them. They're becoming a thing. I don't know if they're internationally known. Let us know if you are from outside the UK at punk gigs, possibly just in the 90s, maybe now. Or the 2000s too? Did just people appear outside at the end of the show, offering counterfeit t-shirts of the band you've just seen, clearly knowing that these guys had never heard of the name of the band until they looked at the listings and went, I need to get some t-shirts of that band and sell them wildly discounted on the pavement outside.
Is it a thing that still happens? Like, is it not allowed now? Like, because it's not a thing that I've really seen in recent years. But again, I don't go to as many gigs as I used to in different cities and stuff.
Well, I don't know. Maybe this is just a reflection of the death of the local grassroots venue, Red. Maybe that's what it is. And also the grassroots criminal counterfeiters.
Yeah, good point.
So pour one out for them. Not too close to the T-shirt, so they will dissolve. If you were looking for something to maybe apply a coat of hard wax finish to a recently finished woodworking project, maybe those T-shirts would work out all right. But as it is, anyway, how have you been? What have you been up to?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been well. I mean, hey, like it's not been long since we recorded the last episode. You know, I've watched a little bit of telly, and I've listened to. They've actually gotten worse live in preparation for one of our upcoming episodes.
Lovely.
And I've loved it as well. It's a very interesting live album.
Yes, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Absolutely not.
Teasing out all of the good stuff when we've got this episode to do. I've watched a bit of telly as well. Watched the new series of Queer Eye is out. So
we actually were watching a little bit of that yesterday as well.
Yeah, Emma and I have watched a couple of episodes. Basically, the problem is for Red and myself, outside of people we actually know, non-binary representation in the media boils down to Ezra Miller, who is a crime, and Sam Smith, who makes music I can't bear. So it's like, well, I've only got Jonathan Van Ness, really.
Absolutely.
What else can be done? It's like, okay, fine. Well, all right then, John. Let's have some of this, please.
Funnily enough, after I finished recording last night's podcast episode, I went into my living room and Kate was watching Queer Eye. She just looked at me and said, I've done a lot of crying.
It can happen. It's it's all very, very good. I'm fond of it, but I mean, to be honest, this verges dangerously close to a routine I have about this. But did you see Jonathan Van Ness's series Getting Curious?
I did, yes.
Based on the podcast, right? There was an episode about the very concept of non-binary, and they're sat down, and there's maybe 3 or 4 people sat around this table, each of them non-binary, each of them talking about their experiences, and there's a pardon me, there's somebody from, I forget which tribe it is, but a Native American tribe who talk about the two-soul,
Two-spirit.
The two-spirit, beg your pardon, two-spirit concept in their culture. and all this kind of thing, and people are going, "Oh wow, that's incredibly moving." Oh yeah, no, these people were considered very, very important as perspective and all that kind of thing. And then a performance artist called Alok just says, "I reckon people are poems."
Alok is
I love it.
not one of my favorite of the non-binary icons. I don't know, like there's a lot of like, I don't know, big non-binary celebrities, and they are not one of my favorites.
No. It seemed it was just sort of like, oh, okay, right. And also, you know for a fact that no non-binary is a poems that rhyme. You know that, don't you? Not a one of us.
We've not got iambic temp. I don't even know how to finish that
iambic
word. It's too early.
Yeah, no, none of that. We've well, the thing is, Red, is that I can see on the video feed is that you are wearing a Mortal Kombat t-shirt. So you know,
yeah,
the two genders.
So, like, basically, as I was going to finish that word, there should have just been a voiceover that said, "Finish them," and then you could have finished my sentence for me.
I'll put one of those in. I won't, but yeah. So that's I'm wearing a Cramps t-shirt in defiance over last night's interview. This interview, in fact.
Yeah, absolutely. Which we'll be getting to in a sec. The Cramps, a little bit of trash talking of the Cramps in this episode.
Bit. But, and I love the Cramps, but to be honest, if there was any kind of talk about the Cramps that they would appreciate, it would be trash. Because they are that sleaze aspect that I like in bizarre rock and roll.
Oh, also, before we do go into the episode, I do want to mention if anybody has the app Waze on their phone, which is like Google Maps, there is currently a little thing that they're doing where you can make the sat nav speak with the voice of Karamo from Queer Eye.
Really?
So as I drive around Sheffield, Karamo guides me to my destination, not only with accurate directions, but also mindfulness and advice.
Wow, I bet that gets old quickly.
It's delightful.
Oh, is it? Okay, then fine. A lot of time for Karama, but you know, I think unwavering positivity and inner city traffic would really that would collide in my own mind,
particularly when some of the instructions like start repeating. You know?
Yeah.
Bear left, and why don't you bear a load off of your mind or whatever.
How long would it take if he was in the car next to you for you to just go, "Oh, fuck off"? It's not his fault. Not his fault. Tan would probably just say, you know, okay, so turn left into a shop and buy something better than that. You look appalling. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, it wouldn't be very supportive, would it?
Not necessarily. You go, yeah, it would be okay. Make a U-turn back into that closet and come out looking a lot better than you do now. I don't know. I'm making him sound a lot more aggressive than he is. But anyway. From the Fab Five to the dynamic duo, I suppose. We've got an interview with Tom and Nihilism from the Midlife Punk podcast. This was a cracking chat, I've got to say.
Absolutely, yeah. I really like talking to these guys. They're also, I think they're a really good contrast to us because they do a similar sort of podcast, but they... do not, we could be quite diplomatic with our reviews and things like that, but they, cut straight through the fat and, are a bit more direct.
I think there's a part of me that thinks that because we're simply talking about the same band every single time, there's a possibility that this will end up getting to them one day.
Oh, dear.
I know, and I don't want to be sort of flippant or sort of deliberately inaccurate with how they're represented. And so I think I'm overcompensating, which wouldn't be the first time, but I think I'm overcompensating in that sense, because it wouldn't last if this was a podcast built purely on spite.
True. Yeah.
Those
Yeah,
kind
absolutely.
of things don't tend to, or they last forever and lay waste to civilizations. So, and I think this is unlikely to. So, no, they are. They're a lot more.
Outspoken.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's good. And we'll probably try to be a little bit. I mean, yeah, I think we'll probably try to be a bit more like them in the future because it was refreshing. So yeah, but anyway, you'll find out all of that as we jump straight into the Midlife Punk podcast interview. And that interview is starting now. We are here with Niall and the current Mr. Sidwell from from the Midlife Punk podcast. How are we doing, chaps? You all right?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Thanks so much for coming on. I've heard a fair few episodes of your podcast, and delighted in that you are as impolite as we are deferential. So this should be this should be an interesting blend. I'm looking forward to it. Good. You're both well.
Yes.
Yeah. I've done 0 video calls today, so this isn't a chore for me at all. And I'm going to try and keep my fucking mouth shut because it's weird being on the other side of the questions for a change. So.
No, that's good. So but give us a quick overview of what the Midlife Punk podcast is, please.
The Midlife Punk podcast was and remains something that I got bored in lockdown. A friend of mine got the punk show slot on a local internet radio station, and I was really jealous. So, in some sort of passive aggressive attempt to get my own back, we set up a podcast, and it was really good in lockdown because nobody was doing anything, and all manner of punk rock celebs had nothing better to do than talk to Niall and me.
Sometimes people really underestimate how much spite can be a driving creative force.
It wasn't spite in as much jealousy, just pure jealousy.
Oh, yeah.
Fair.
It's in the Bible. You're not meant to do that, are you? Sorry.
No, but it's exactly how pretty much every punk rock record label has ever started. It's like, God, can't believe no one wants to sign our shit band. I'll sign our shit band. Then hopefully you get better, and then So it comes from a fine pedigree. Yeah, absolutely. No, it's great. But you're into the hundreds of episodes now.
We've just, I don't know about you, but I hate saying dropped. The 121st episode has just dropped the other day. So yeah, and then we've got special episodes as well where we like to have a laugh at the expense of various compilations, Fat Records, ones, Punkoramas, and all the other record labels, and we go through and give credit where it's due, but where it's not, we dish out some constructive criticism now, don't we?
We sure do. Don't forget Punks on Film as well. One of our bright spots.
Yeah, we review films with punks in.
Great.
Yeah, so we've done Suburbia, which was a decent one, and we did Billy Joe Armstrong's acting debut, Ordinary World, and that's a funny episode because the film is utter shit.
Oh no!
There's a couple things like obviously like Iggy was in, like Tank Girl. He plays a bit of a nonce in that.
Never watched it, and you're not selling it to me, Red.
Well, I mean, Ice Cube plays a kangaroo.
Yep,
like a kangaroo mutant.
Go on.
I mean,
a kangaroo who was in a relationship with said Tank Girl.
Yeah.
Right,
there's a musical number. Obviously, like Laurie Petty plays Tank Girl, and it's also got Jet Girl in it, played by Naomi Watts.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good schlocky, silly film.
Yeah, they have to be for that because when we've talked about doing punks on film before, and somebody sent me there's one called Straight Edge Kegger or something on Amazon Prime, and I thought that sounds funny. But it's not. It's all about murder and horribleness, and there's like a serious message. So you're like, okay, we can't take the piss out of that, really. And there's there's that Bomb City about that lad that got killed. No, can't do that one. Fuck.
Yeah.
So we're sort of running out of daft ones, really.
Under SLC Punk.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That is so shit. I can't even watch it to take the piss out of it. We thought about that one, but it's so complicated. You've seen that, ain't you, Noel?
Yeah, both SLC Punk and SLC2.
Both of them.
Yeah. Oh God.
You must be in a minority there, surely.
I think so. Yeah.
SLC Punk too.
I think
yes.
We didn't we actually send the Suburbia episode to the director as well, Penelope Spheris. And
yeah, we asked her to come on, and she was within millimeters of accepting until we sent her the episode.
Not
she ghosted us.
Yeah. That's that happened. We I tried to contact Bad Cop just because their website had a contact us thing. So I said, "Hey, look, we're doing this. You're a fat band. Stacey's worked with members of NOFX on other stuff as well." And I got a reply from someone at Fat Records saying, could you share us an episode? And I said, actually, I can't at the moment because we've not done any. But once we've got a few out, shall I send you some? Because I think that'll be a good plan. So once we had about 8 of them out, sent her things saying, "Oh, this is the podcast you wanted to hear, by the way." Nothing. So,
I tried to get back. I got quite early, and it was send us an episode, and nothing.
It seems to be that way. It's people are really interested in the idea of being on podcasts because podcasts in general are a good idea. But when you show them your one, they go, "Oh, I see."
Well, we've just had Dal Failure, the new bass player from Friends of Rum. That's on the new one that's just fucking dropped. And we just got that through sheer force of will and nagging their manager.
Yeah.
And they relented in the end. So keep plugging.
Yeah, no, that's it. We there's people that, and obviously real life has a dreadful habit of getting in the way of stuff. So we have people lined up and all the rest of it. But that's and then they go, "Oh, can we push it back?" And by that time, you're looking at a month because we've got all of our interview spots taken up and all the rest of it. But sorry, this is really inside baseball for the people who are here to listen to stuff about NOFX. But it's like you feel like a vicar sometimes. You sort of have to sort of do this and then go, and in many ways that is like NOFX, isn't it? It's very much like their struggle early doors. It's got this unfortunate mental gymnastics you got to do. But if you could both give us a little bit of sort of, I'm not G-checking you, by the way, but just sort of how did you get into punk, and what's your sort of involvement in the scene, be it local or national or whatever, up to this point?
Niall, do you want to go first? Because I've never heard your side of this story.
No, you go first.
Okay. Right, okay. So, I heard, you may not be able to tell, chaps, but I'm actually only 38 years old. I know I look a lot younger than that. I first heard Green Day's Dookie when I was in year 5. So what would that make me? 9, 10 years of age. Stuck religiously to that. Then got into Insomniac. And as we headed into secondary school, I was punk and nothing else. And I'd say NOFX were probably in the first 5 bands that I discovered, got into. So it was. I'm unashamedly say that Green Day got me into punk rock, and if people don't like that, they can fuck off. Frankly,
they did it for more people than most bands.
Yeah, and most of the people that slag you off for saying that are on borrowed time nowadays, anyway. So, we'll have a time when we can just say it and not worry. And then I joined bands when I was about 14. As a drummer, I was in a band called Effervescent. Terrible name. I didn't choose it. But we were sort of caught up in that P-rock wave punk rock tornado, turn of the century. Did all the touring up and down the UK when, you know, MySpace was just emerging and P-Rock was on the telly, and you could fill a community centre or a youth club on a Thursday night because everyone seemingly was into punk rock. And then, I've just stayed with it, stuck at it, been in various bands, had a crack at singing once, and that band did all right. That band was called None of Your Fucking Business. Got to go to other countries with them. And now I am in the Atoms as well. One of the many, many people who have been in the Atoms. But I'm also, last year, got the opportunity to join my favourite band, or one of my favourite bands, Funbug, who were the first UK band on Lookout Records. So they're a bit older than me, them boys, but I still look the oldest, which is annoying. And then, still playing with the Atoms, occasionally doing the Funbug thing, and obviously the Midlife Punk podcast as well. That's my route to the present day.
Didn't you also play in the last ever John Peel session?
You said it, not me. Yeah, I filled in on drums for Skimmer, who are another sort of West Midlands pop punk legendary band from Funbug's era. Cool. Their old drummer, their original drummer, Andy, sadly died. And I got a call from Kev saying, "Do you want to fill in, play drums for us?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, man, where are we playing?" And he says, "It's a John Peel session, actually."
Whoa.
So I was like, fuck, how old was I then? I must have been 19.
Wow.
So you go, yeah, sure, fucking brilliant. And we recorded it on the Thursday, and then he died on the Tuesday. So must have been something we said. I don't know. But
I never thought I'd hear anything that top Teenage Kicks, but as it was, I heard it, and that immediately sent me to my grave. So,
and I expired. Yeah, it's so good, I expired. I'm sure that's what he was thinking. Yeah.
There'll never be a better song than Teenage Kicks by the Undertones. If I hear one, strike me dead. And there you go.
Gosh, there you go.
Never mind. Well, thank you for that. That's great. Can't believe you're going to let the Peel story slide by. That speaks very highly of you.
He has a go at me if I mention it. So
I don't. At this point, I just roll my eyes.
Yes, it's all right. Red and I are both stand-up comedians, so we hear a lot of phrases and stories of various acts. Of course, when I was doing this gig, supporting this act, I'm like, by mistake, 10 years ago, those kind of things. It's
You were taking the coats in the cloakroom, yeah.
I'll never forget what Russell Howard said to me. Thanks for buying a ticket.
Yeah, where's my fucking money? Yeah.
And Niall, what was your secret origin?
So, despite being just ever so slightly older than Tom, I was around for the whole grunge explosion, which was kind of the long way around into punk. I was obsessed with Nirvana, and kind of got into a few of the bands that inspired and influenced them. Eventually came around to the great explosion of 1994. Again, Green Day, absolutely massive. I remember one time in school we had this like little youth wing where only the fourth and fifth years could go, and I brought in a tape of I think it was Smash. We put on Bad Habit, and we got banned for life.
Nice,
because we decided to turn it all the way up during the bridgey bit. Played in various bands since the mid-90s. Nothing really of note. I was in a really, really bad emo band in 2004, 2005. Recorded a few bits, never really went seriously. Did a couple of runs up and down the country. Unfortunately, never left the country. Supported some decent bands and, sort of up-and-comers during the whole P-Rock thing. Vanilla Pod, Whitmore, for example. Between bands at the moment, and I was lucky enough a couple of years ago that Tom gave me the opportunity to be the man in the chair for the Midlife Punk podcast, as it were. So I think I started off with the Short Music for Short People series,
Yeah, you were a guest, weren't you? On we for some reason decided to review every single song on the short music thing, and we had to do it over 3 episodes. And me waxing lyrical about that, even I'd get bored of that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I asked Niall, and then we had such a lovely time, didn't we, mate? That you
did, yeah.
Became a permanent fixture. You're also forgetting, Niall, that you were in the East Midlands best tribute to the Misfits and the Ramones at the same time.
That's right, yeah, Fitzcreek, where I played the DD Ramone / Jerry Only character. Tom was on drums for that one, so he could have been anybody from like the late 70s, early 80s hardcore scene. That was a lot of fun. Did a couple of gigs. It started off as Ramones tribute originally, didn't it? And then somehow we worked some Misfits covers in there for some reason.
Yeah, we played some VW camper festival, didn't we, to a load of bemused people with too much money who had these amazing camper vans.
I remember that we were all like, "Yeah, let's all dress in black and do the whole aesthetic." And I turned up in a Hawaiian shirt for some reason.
Trolling.
What I like about that is that the VW camper festival is like. Was there no Beach Boys tribute available? Like, surely that's more in the vein, isn't it? Or
there was a main room that had like, I think it was Kasabian or something tribute band, Oasis. There's a lot of Mad for It's there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Bucket,
and then Bucket well ends, and we were on the little stage, weren't we? Now, which was a bandstand basically. With some hay bales as a security barrier. It was a good day. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Oh, it does sound fun. Like, you get booked. I'm in an improv group, which is not a boast, but we did get asked to do the what was it? The Yamaha Motorcycle Owners Club at Skipsea Sands, which is a caravan park on the Yorkshire coast. And basically, all these people had nothing in common except a preference for Yamaha motorcycles. And so they weren't enjoying any of the show, but every so often you just go, "Fuck Kawasaki," and they'd all be like, "Yeah, finally!" This wasn't one we did for art. It was one we very much did for a paycheck, but, that's how it goes.
We've all done them.
Oh, of course, yeah, absolutely. That's how it goes. Fantastic. And, you're still based in the Midlands?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, Derby for me.
Nice.
Oh, wow. I'm originally from Derby. Whereabouts in Derby?
Spondon, mate.
Oh, cool. Lovely. Nice.
Democratic People's Republic of Spondonia.
And Niall, you in
I'm in Sheffield via Derby. I used to live in Derby a while ago.
Oh, I currently live in Sheffield, so I feel like I don't know. Is this a psyop operation?
Something. I'm going to need a map and a lot of red string. Something's going on here.
If it merges now, Eddie's in some sort of position in the centre of the triangle of us three. I'm going to be a bit worried.
Not quite. I'm in Leeds, I'm afraid. So
to Leeds.
Aye, and that's where, yeah. My accent would suggest otherwise, but no, that's where I've spent most of my life. But yeah, so that's which is good because I got to be very smug when NOFX were announcing their final dates. They go, "Oh, one of the 2 places in the UK is half an hour drive from my house. Perfect. That'll do me just fine." So yeah, can't complain.
I bet you're buzzing, aren't you, as massive NOFX fan? See, I'm doing it now. I'm interviewing you. I shouldn't be doing
fine.
that.
No, I was absolutely thrilled. I thought, where are they going to go? Are they going to do maybe a Manchester, a London, perhaps Birmingham will be the closest one. Maybe they'll do a although they did say they'll never play Scotland again after some point or other. So I thought, okay, so at least it's, fairly close. But anyway, that's brought us on to NOFX. So, can you remember when you first sort of heard NOFX specifically? Have that first sort of memory of going, "Oh, this is a specific." Oh, nod of the head from Tom there.
Oh yes, I'll tell you right now. Right, I was about 14. I was on holiday, family holiday to France. One of these, Euro camp things where you've got basically a posh ass tent, right? And met a lad there got chatting. He liked Green Day. He was from Andy from Clitheroe. Andy Slinger. Won't be listening probably. Published author now. But he sent me a tape of NOFX. We were swapping tapes with each other, as you used to do in the olden days.
Sure.
And he sent me Punkin Drublic. And I was like, wow, this is a bit ballsier than Green Day, isn't it? A bit funnier than Green Day, a bit faster than Green Day. And it was just a natural next step. And I think they just caught me right at the exact right time.
That's the same with most music, really, isn't it? That's why there's people our age still walking around just going, nothing's been better since Oasis, mate. Fucking everything, and all that stuff. It's just if it grabs you, it grabs you. That's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, it, like I say, it was just perfect timing. He sent me Out Come the Wolves as well, so I actually got to credit him with quite a lot of sorting me out in terms of my music, because I was a bit of a Nirvana kid as well. So soon got out of that though. After I heard Linoleum, I was like, this is better.
So Nirvana got out of it pretty fast, to be fair. But Punkin Drublic and Out Come the Wolves are sort of two pillars of that sort of bang on mid-90s, the year punk broke, as they call it. Have you seen? I think there's a documentary called, is it 1995?
4, I think, but yeah.
Or 1994. Either way. You got Dookie, you got Wolves, you've got Punkin Drublic, and possibly something else as well. But it was just like, Smash.
Yeah.
And those, it was just like they couldn't make them quick enough. They were, just sort of finding new places to press the CDs because they were just flying off the shelves, and tapes, I imagine, in those days too. So, yeah.
But obviously, after sort of getting hooked on it all with all that, you become acutely aware that bands were making albums that good, if not better, before and at the same time, but you just never heard them.
Yeah.
And there's just it's like somebody lifting the veil from your eyes, isn't it? And you can like, oh fucking hell, there's all this stuff.
Yeah, it's a whole different world, because let me see, 94 or so, the Spice Girls didn't come around till 97, and that was when sort of pop came back. But there was sort of rock was, because you'd had sort of Nirvana and that stuff, and then Oasis and that sort of that Britpop thing came back, and it wasn't, so it was a good few years before guitar-based music shifted away. So you were going around going, wow, it's a good time to be a rock fan. There's rock everywhere. And then you go, oh, wow, there's actually way more than that. It's like, going into a supermarket and going, oh, wow, look at this. There's cans of soup on this aisle. This must be the only food in existence. And you turn around and you go, oh, my God, there's bread as well. Yeah, like, you're absolutely astonishing. Yeah. What about yourself, Niall?
Well, unlike this poser, my first NOFX track I heard was Sticking in My Eye, and that would have been really late at night on 120 Minutes on MTV.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, okay, yeah.
I think the first album I bought, I skipped Punkin Drublic entirely for some reason. The first one I got was Eating Lamb.
Oh, yeah.
Heavy Petting Zoo.
Yeah, and that was that. I held off on Punkin Drublic for a long time for some reason, but yeah, Sticking in My Eye, like just the whole pace of it and the the bass line in particular, I was just like, holy shit, this ain't Nirvana.
Yeah, because I was a huge Nirvana fan as well. One of the songs of theirs I really, really loved was Territorial Pissings. And I was like, oh, wow, this is super fast and sort of quite exciting, because Nirvana are fairly mid-tempo kind of group. They get there from time to time, but yeah, I was always like, Territorial Pissings was always like a real treat on when I listened to Nevermind. And I'm like, oh, that's why I like really fast stuff. It turns out I wanted something that was a bit pacier than this. Oh, wonderful. Let's start with the first question in our list. You can argue over who's going to answer first, just to make your own answer look cooler in comparison. Not accusing you of being childish at all. But what's your favourite NOFX song, Tom and Niall of the Midlife Punk podcast?
No, I haven't done my homework for this one, so you can go first and I'll do it now.
So when I was doing my homework, I picked Laurie Myers straight away, but I had a crisis of confidence earlier, and I was like, "Oh, I really like She's Gone," but I'm sticking with my original choice, Laurie Myers.
That's interesting because I think those are Eddie's two top choices as well, aren't they?
They were my choices. In our little co-pilots, we interviewed each other with the questions to show that we're not afraid. And yeah, Laurie Myers was my number one, and She's Gone is always in the running. I absolutely adore that song.
You're going to need some more of that red string, Eddie.
Absolutely, something is
We're
going
right down
on.
the rabbit hole here.
Oh, wait a second. Because both of those are super fast, which is what I really, really like. And also, whilst I enjoy their daft songs and stuff, I like their sort of slightly more thoughtful or considered ones that are sort of about stuff you don't hear too often. A defense of sex work is not something you often hear in any songs, really. I mean, maybe, Lizzo's doing something about that now, but, 25, 20, however, 30 years ago, not really a thing.
I think part of that was like the absolute ferocity of Kim Shattuck's vocal as well.
Oh yeah.
Like obviously, I'd heard female vocalists on grunge and punk and stuff like that, but the way she absolutely rips out those lyrics, I was like, holy shit!
Yeah,
and I think with She's Gone, it's like it's a sad song, but it's a punk song. At the same time, it's like you said, the silly ones are all very well and good, but when they start singing about like actual real life situations that could happen to anyone, then it's like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Did you? I'm throwing out my theory again, Red. Red can have a nap while I throw out my theory. I feel that She Didn't Lose Her Baby from Coaster is like a sort of a sequel, or a sort of a spiritual sequel to that song, because I think they're even in the same key, but they're the same sort of thing. It's the same sort of dreadfully treated individual and this sort of story that doesn't have a happy ending. And it just feels really, I don't know how familiar you are with that particular song, but that's always been mine.
I'd love to agree with you there, Eddie, but then you think The Pharmacist's Daughter and Seeing Double at the Triple Rock are fundamentally the exact same song. So I think what's probably happened is they've gone round again and forgot about Laurie. I don't know. I'm just being a grumpy bastard. I'm sorry.
No. Do you know what? Both of those theories have validity, I think. Yeah. So maybe we'll never find out. Maybe we'll never know, but that's all right. If you can come out of your grump long enough, do you have a favourite NOFX song?
I think I do. It's either Filthy Phil, Philanthropist, or it's the Moron Brothers.
Love it.
Oh, interesting.
Brilliant. Neither of those been mentioned as favourites so far, but yeah, great.
Everyone knows the Moron Brothers, don't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In their life, everyone knows those people. I think in my younger days, I was perhaps somebody else's Moron Brothers, to be honest. But, Niall just mentioned real life stuff. That's real life stuff, isn't it? When you're a young punk rocker, just people getting pissed and being dicks, perhaps taking the joke a little bit too far sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Well, the first time you find out you've got a mate whose parents go, right, we're going to be back at midnight, and provided the house looks pretty much the same as it was before, no questions asked, and you go, oh, okay, and then the
what
place
a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely, and the place is ruined forever. Immediately 30 grand off the house value just on that one night alone, just absolutely ruinous,
I missed my English GCSE exam because I was a moron brother.
Wow.
I had a moron brother party and missed my alarm and never took my English GCSE.
Seem to be doing fine. Your English is very good. Well done.
Thank you. I've been practicing.
Oh, good. Yeah. It really shows. You should be very proud.
You should sue Fat Mike for lost earnings over the years.
I think the statute of limitations is well and truly gone by now.
That's possible, isn't it? Yeah, you don't have to worry. But Filthy Phil Philanthropist is that's from Heavy Petting Zoo, isn't it? That's an album less travelled as far as NOFX goes in a lot of cases, I think.
It's for me, right? The sort of when I thought they could do no wrong was from Punk in Drublic probably fell off the rails a bit at Pump Up the Volume, and that's smack in the middle of that Heavy Petting Zoo, and it's not a brilliant record, is it? It's all right. It's a bit underrated. The more you listen to it, there's some decent stuff on there. But yeah, if it came straight after Punk in Drublic, doesn't it? So it was never gonna. That's a hard act to follow, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh no, absolutely, yeah. And I think there's some slightly more weird stuff on Heavy Pet. I don't know why I always get the vibe off it that it's kind of weird in a way. Like
it is, yeah. So what you got? Homophobic, Scared of Bums, which
Whatever
is
Dee Dee wants.
Yeah,
Love Story.
Yeah, Hot Dog in a Hallway, weird.
Yeah, it's dropped the world on that
comfortable
one as well.
now, all these years later.
Yeah, a bit, isn't it? But yeah, there's some decent stuff on there. But for me, that's like the best track on that by some distance. Yeah. And I don't know. I guess that was the first sort of NoFX album I've discovered by myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I listened to that, and Filthy Phil's the first, like, it's a standout one. It's the second track on there. So it's just always stuck with me. I don't know why. I just thought, this is my NoFX era. This is.
No, that's great. Well, that's it. That's the thing is with a band like this, people sort of have an era. If you look on any YouTube full album video, there's just this was their best album, and they didn't do anything good after this. I go, really? This is Liberal Animation? Are you quite sure?
Well, I listened to Liberal Animation yesterday, right, in preparation for this, because I think I've tried like twice before and couldn't. Fucking hell, it is terrible, isn't it?
We like bits. But
there are a little bit here and there that are good, but the vocal performances are all round very difficult to listen to. A lot of the music's all right.
A lot of them just don't make any sense.
All right.
Beer Bong's good on there, but yeah, some of it you're just like, what is this? Is like 4 songs smooched together in some bloody mess. They dodged a bullet there. That could have been the end of them, you know. It could have been, couldn't it?
Could have been. Well, that's the thing. I think it was that sort of hardcore thing where you sort of got to you can have about 20 seconds of the same tempo and the same riff, and then you've got to change it and slow it down and then speed it back up again. And there's a lot of that kind of. It's sort of like really bad Rich Kids on LSD cosplay for a lot of it.
I think you've nailed it there. Was it I Live in a Cake? What the fucking hell?
That one we have no real argument for.
He's like, get out. I don't want to listen to this shit. Fuck off. Well, put Beer Bong on again.
It did say that it was recorded in 2 days.
It shows, don't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So, for 2 days, I don't know. But but that's the thing. I think because we've been alternating the interviews with sort of little deep dives on all the albums. We've been doing them in order, having our broccoli before our dinner, before our dessert in that case. So, and we have been we've been trying to sort of process it a bit more than it's fucking shit. And we've been, it's been hard, but we've managed it because,
I think it's because they're super young when they make it, and I find it like super interesting seeing the start of the band that they will become. And I think what's really interesting is like you can still see those elements, like you can see what they're going to become later. Like they really are there from the start. Like Mike's bass playing, his vocals sound very different, but there's something that is still very recognizably Fat Mike. And it's interesting seeing the progression, but I do admit it's what we enjoy about it isn't necessarily the music in itself, but rather what the music will become.
I guess the way to look at it is if that was album 1 and the only album, would there be like a NoFX podcast about this classic album, Liberal Animation?
Absolutely.
Probably not. But like you say, Red, it's the opportunity to look back and go, half of that was a load of old wank. But some of it you can see coming through later on,
And then like when there's like the big changes, like when Hefe comes in, like I don't know. It's just interesting to see that transition, and it makes you almost appreciate. I was about to say appreciate the newer stuff more, but I actually I somehow come out appreciating the older stuff, just like knowing where it came from, and just seeing progression, like a focus, a drive to get past their not as good stuff.
I think it's that thing of, because I think songwriters, I think a lot of them have an idea of what this song is supposed to sound like in their head with the arrangement and stuff. But when you've got like 4 18-year-olds who've only picked up their instruments in the past 5 years or so to try and make this sort of big complex sort of intertwining melodies and counter melodies on all the instruments whilst having a rip roaring drum beat and all this kind of stuff, like trying to express that is quite difficult. So it takes time to sort of learn that kind of stuff as well. But
you're making me feel bad now, Eddie.
No, I'm honestly, I mean, no,
we are too generous.
What I'm picking up is stop slagging off kids, Tom.
No, you know what? This is precisely the worst thing about me, right? I was doing a gig at it was in Hull, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, it's the only place that'll book me. But it's I'm doing a gig in Hull, and a lady in the audience said, "Are you one of the Turns?" And so I knew with her up-to-date terminology that she was definitely a comedy fan. And I said, "Sure." And she said, "I've got a request." And I thought, oh, all right, she's going to say, it's our Denise's birthday. Can you call her a slag or whatever? Some sort of happens a lot, right, Red?
Sure. Yeah.
That's just the normal thing. What she said was, could you make the comedy, asking me to make everyone's comedy, could you make it more right than left, please? Because I don't want to hear any jokes slagging off Brexit. And I was that dumbfounded. I went, I'll see what I can do, because I was just so taken aback, and I thought, oh fuck, am I the tolerant left? Is that what I am? Oh bugger. So yeah.
What a ridiculous.
I know.
Lads, everybody.
Yeah.
This woman here says
in the green room now. Okay, right.
Turns meeting.
Yeah,
we've got
exactly.
something to discuss.
Right, well, I'm sorry everyone, but
Wow.
Eddie French, your favourite non-binary act from Leeds, is going to have to start doing some right-wing comedy, and they don't know how they feel about it. So it's going to be exciting. Yeah, I know. So that's
flicking through the Bernard Manning best of.
Basically, yeah. Right. So basically, it's either I want to make fun of what minorities live around here, or just remind people of stuff from the past, when the minorities didn't live around here. So, yeah.
Hey, Peter Kay's made a fortune doing that.
He absolutely has.
The reminding about the past stuff, not slagging off minorities.
No, he doesn't have to. He's got Paddy McGuinness for that. So I knew there was a reason he kept him around. Hello everyone, Eddie here. Red and I hope you're enjoying our show. If you have been and would like to help us make it a little more easily, then you can donate to us at our Ko-fi page, which is ko-fi.com/punkrockelite, or you can look in the show notes for our link tree. If you can't help us financially, we totally understand, but would love it if you spread the word to other people who would like this podcast. We thank you for your continued support. We massively appreciate it. Back to the show. Do you have a favourite NOFX album?
Go on, Noel, you first.
Mine was a cop-out originally. It was going to be 45 or 46 songs.
I'd have to say, the best of the Beatles.
Yeah, I've gone for. I went for that originally, but I'm going to go for, surprisingly enough, although I'm sure it's been picked already, Heavy Petting Zoo.
It has not been picked before, no. But there you go. Yeah, that's you're the first one over the line on that one. Yep, excellent. But what is it about Heavy Petting Zoo that?
I think it's like, obviously Punk and Dribble, it's the big one, but I think Heavy Petting Zoo has got a really strong sort of suite of songs, as you like. It's stuff like, you've got the odd clanger in there, like, for example, Hot Dog in a Hallway, but you go from like track 6 Release the Hostages. Then you've got Liza. What's the Matter with Kids Today? Love Story. The Black and White. That's a pretty good run.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's there's no skippers in that selection. Yeah, that's great.
I believe that's. I mean, we haven't actually done a deep dive into that one yet, but it is coming up very soon.
Yes.
And I'm super excited to have a proper listen to that again because it's been a while for me.
We actually postponed it slightly because we decided to do Heard They Suck live and Gotten Worse live as a double one before it. So yeah, because the last one we did was Punk and Drublick, so that's not gone out yet. So we'll find out precisely. We got one of the sweetest Facebook comments, which was, "I respectfully disagree with all of your opinions on Ribbed." All of them.
Respectfully, though.
Yeah, respectfully, but absolutely put every single foot wrong on our analysis of that album, which I love. But yeah, we've got respectful fans. That's what we do.
No character taste, is there?
No, apparently not. No. So what about yourself, Tom?
So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes.
That's my favourite too.
You know, I'd never sit there and go, "Oh fucking hell, I'm going to listen to X song off that." But I will. It's on the turntable right now, actually. I will sit down if I've got a spare 45 minutes, and I will sit and listen to that from start to finish. I think it's that's the sound for me. That's what, in my head, that's what NOFX sound like. That's like the version of them that's ingrained in there. It's got the mix of the serious and the daft. It's got short songs on it and long songs, mixed tempos. I think it's just a really good example of NOFX show reel stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's got the best scar on it. It's when they started getting Spike from the Gimmies to do the backing vocals as well, the harmony stuff. So all the performances are just super strong on it, and it's great.
As well, like, because that was after. Was that after Pet and Zoo? Wasn't it? Next one after. Again, that was one that I discovered myself. And what was that? 97, 8?
99, I think. Oh no, sorry, it was 98, and then 99 was the decline. Yeah,
and you know, we didn't have a computer till I was about 16 in my house, and we just didn't know what the band looked like. do you know what I mean? Because there's no pictures in the Punk and Drublick CD, none in Heavy Petting Zoo, and none in So Long. But there's the 4 pictures of people that aren't them with their names underneath. One of them's Chuck from Good Riddance, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you know, I had to take that at face value because I just did not know what they looked like.
I think the closest we got to it in my group of friends was when someone got So Long, and they've got cartoons of them. They've got little like caricatures, and we're like, okay, but they're all pulling stupid faces as well. So it's sort of it's like they were a complete mystery. It was really quite exciting.
An enigma, weren't they? They were.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I fully agree. I think there's something very. I mean, some people have said, you know, the kick drum's a bit too clicky on those sort of that.
Oh, fuck off.
But yeah, exactly. But I mean, the thing is that what was amazing is that you could hear it on your shit little CD Walkman, off-brand Walkman, or on a cassette someone had made you. It cut through perfectly. It was like, I love the way they've made this record sound good to the people who buy it. They can't, you know, Phil Collins can, you know, have a lush production that's going to be on, you know, a £1,000 stereo, but NOFX don't have that kind of an audience.
Do you think that was an accident, or they did it deliberately? Because Stock Aitken and Waterman in the 80s, in the studio, when they had mixed stuff, this is the Midlands thing, by the way, because this all went on in Cov, but they'd test the mix out through FM radio speakers, because that's how it was going to sound in people's kitchen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that was what NOFX
usually did. Mixes, as far as I'm aware, mixes are usually, you play them on as wide a variety of things as possible. So you put on your nice audiophile headphones, you listen to the studio monitors, but then you go out to the car
Yeah.
with a cassette, or nowadays probably a thumb drive. And I'm pretty sure that they would do that. But because I think, was that one Ryan Green as well? Because he was the fat sound that he made on that first Propaganda record. That sort of it was like one of those records that like ruined a generation. So everyone wanted their stuff to sound like it, and then eventually people started calming down and finding their own sort of thing. But that fat sound was really sort of revolutionary at the time.
Because he did that clicking, a silver dollar under duct tape, wasn't it? On the simple as that.
Yeah, on the kick. He tried out loads of stuff. We were looking at all the different things that because he's worked with Megadeth and people like that, and like Celine Dion and all these different things. He's like it might not be Celine Dion, but it's some sort of pop stroll. It's like
I knew the kick on My Heart Will Go On is much too clicky.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I've always hated that.
There's just no bottom end on that whole recording. It just reeks of Ryan Green. But I don't know. It's I don't know if it's her, but it's that kind of thing. But yeah, there's NOFX have shared a lot of people with Megadeth, because he went on to record Megadeth, and the guy who did the painting on S&M Airlines, he did loads of Megadeth covers and designed their own little version of Eddie that they've got.
Fucking
stuff
hell.
like that. So yeah, it's just they sort of do their apprenticeship with NOFX and then go off and actually make some money, which, good for them. At the time, anyway.
And Hefe did the opposite.
Yeah, he could have. Yeah,
Hefe was earning well, and then came to NOFX.
Well, the guy who made the video for S&M Airlines ended up being the director of that film Day After Tomorrow, was it?
Was it Gore
Really?
Verbinski?
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy who just sort of pointed a camera at some blokes, and then went on to go, right, I'm going to make a living doing this. And you go, oh, turns out you did.
Yeah, there you go. Happy days.
Do you have a favourite lyric from NOFX?
This was a really hard question, guys.
Yeah.
We
wrote them down without trying it, and we refused to take it out of the list.
I'm committed now.
Sure.
I don't even know what song it's from, right? It's off White Trash. The lyric is, sit back and relax, yeah, do nothing, yeah. That is fucking ballsy, right? In the studio, what are we going to put here? Oh, fucking hell. Yeah. Yeah, let's stick that in there. I just admire either the real laziness and the don't care attitude that's made it on there, or the sort of ballsiness of, I'm having yeah as one of my lyrics.
Yeah. It's just scribbling that out on A4 longhand. That's
not yeah times 3.
Oh, God,
yeah.
Otherwise, you end up with a song which is X3,
Yeah.
Which would be, but it's like, the joke of the actors reading out the stage directions. It's that kind of thing. This will not do. Stands up.
Or when poor old Jeremy Corbyn said, "Strong pause, strong point here."
Oh yeah,
that was horrible.
That's what did for him in the end.
I think it was,
of all of the things. Inappropriate seating on a train. No, I can ride that one out. I'll forget about that by tea time. Reading out his own directions. Yeah. Relax, sit back, relax, do nothing. Yeah. Love it.
What song is it from? I can't remember now. Side 2 of White Trash. I know that. I can't remember. Perhaps the listeners can. It can be a little game. They can figure it out.
Yeah. So if you do know which one Tom's referring to, then pop it in a comment or what have you. Yep, I'm looking at the track listing, and it is there's not one called Nya. So
No.
I'm guessing. Yeah. Anyway, Niall, what's yours?
So mine's a little bit more thoughtful. So it's from The Idiots Are Taken Over, and it's angry mob mentality is no longer the exception, it's the rule. And it's still the thing like 20 odd years after they recorded that.
Yes, it was upsettingly prophetic rather than just reflective of the time, wasn't it?
I mean, you look back like from 2023 to when George Bush was president, and you think like, yeah, it couldn't have possibly gotten any worse from there, couldn't it?
Yeah. What were we complaining about? I mean, we were complaining about things that should have been complained about, but apparently people just doubled that. Yeah. No, that's a great choice. That was that was brilliant.
Very good, Niall.
Thank you.
Yeah. For a really hard question, that was the most painless answer. What's your favourite memory of NOFX? Direct or indirect, I suppose.
Can I tell you about the perfect day?
Please.
Oh.
There's this day that was perfect, right? And it was when I still lived back in my hometown in Nuneaton. There must have been about 12 of us went over to Birmingham to watch NOFX. That was sort of like the main event. But we all met in the boozer by the station. Everyone was just the perfect age. I must have been about 24. My brother and his sort of mates were 18, 19 in the group. It was just me and Winnow, my mate, who were my age, and then they were all younger than us. But anyway, and we sort of went after lunch over to Birmingham on the train. Just so much funny shit happened. We declared it shit T-shirt day, where you had to just buy shit, just wank T-shirts, and wear them. We told one of the guys it was shit hat day as well, and he came in some ridiculous hat. Loads of fun. Got on the train over there. Met some Mexican guy who claimed he was El Jefe's cousin. I don't fucking know. He had some chewing tobacco. I had some of that. It was fucking disgusting. Just nowhere to spit it. Got to the gig, wedged one of our mates and lifted him up, and he went through the ceiling tiles at the old Birmingham Academy. I fell down the stairs at the academy on my arse. Just went with a pint in each hand, all the way down. Didn't spill a drop, not a drop. And then at the end, there was them people outside selling fake T-shirts, and we started a big chant: £10 one wash, £10 one wash. And yeah, there was like a little mini riot. Everyone started chucking this con artist T-shirts around. Pissed in the train station, and one of the guards shouted at us, "This is a train station, not a PlayStation." Doesn't make any sense.
Oh, you're not supposed to piss in your PlayStation. Oh, I understand.
When we got back to Nuneaton after the gig. There was an he looked like a homeless guy, but he claimed to be an ex-footballer called Dave Tomlin, and kept a laminated sheet with his appearances for Leicester City, goals, assists, cards, the lot. And NOFX happened in there somewhere. All I remember is they weren't very good. It was in that period where, you know why they did Backstage Passport and went to all mad places? Because they were just bored as fuck of doing the same old stuff. It was quite apparent that they were bored. So it must have been about 2005. So I would have been 20-ish, 2005, 2006 year. So yeah, that's the perfect day. Everyone had fun. No one was an arsehole. No one got too pissed. Nobody fell out. It was just a really fun day, all of us together, and it was all focused on getting the train over from sunny Nunny to Birmingham for NOFX. And I'll never forget it.
That's phenomenal. Neither will I. That's wonderful. That see, this is the kind of story that I was hoping for. One of the reasons we sort of started this podcast was because, as long as I can remember, NOFX has been a sort of a constant in my life, and then they're going, "Oh, we're not touring anymore," and it's sort of, it turns out they're going to be releasing stuff and whatnot. It feels like a sort of a wind down, and so the idea of a sort of an existence where NOFX isn't just going to be there is weird. That without NOFX, none of those things would have happened in that perfect day, for example.
Yeah, I can't even tell you how many times I've seen them. I can't even begin to calculate. It is so high, and to think I went a large number of years when I first got into them without ever seeing them. 2003 Deconstruction Tour, Manchester Apollo was the first time. And then, over the years, so many times. So many. Some good, some not so good, some utter garbage, some great. One that sticks in my mind, Leeds Festival. God knows when that would have been. It was in the Bush presidency because they did that idiot son of an asshole song.
Yeah, I remember that.
But again, we were all there. I had altered my consciousness.
Sure.
And
I was there too, similarly altered.
Yes. And we were all there, and they played, and it was red hot, and it was they were funny, and they weren't shit. And that's another really good one for me.
Yeah, absolutely. How about yourself, Niall?
I think Your Perfect Day, Tom, was the same one I chose. Was that gig where Snuff opened for him?
I think it was,
Yeah. April 30th, 2009. So I got those tickets for my 30th birthday. I was very excited.
Then.
Was it? Mm. If you were 24, then the maths adds up.
You're probably right.
Yeah. Let's just say I'm right, because I'm usually right. But yeah, I couldn't find anyone to go with me. So eventually I did, and yeah, it was a good gig. They weren't, like you say, they weren't particularly good. I remember them doing the what's that thing called? Was it Avenue Q, where they brought the puppets out and shit as well?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's when I went, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, this is one of those where they're just going to do a lot of talking and play like 5 songs. But I think it's not a particularly fond memory, but I did have to get a taxi back from Birmingham to Burton-on-Trent, where I was living at the time, and that was a lot of money.
Yeah. I think that is a lot of money. I think the Avenue Q thing is when Mike did the Home Street Home. I think the guy who wrote Avenue Q was one of his collaborators on that. So maybe that was around the time, because he'd been working on it for a long time before he sort of announced anything. So maybe he was in a Q frame of mind.
Yeah, I mean, to this day, I still find myself singing "Everyone's a Little Bit Racist" from time to time. I think that stretches back to that night, because I've never seen the Avenue Q show.
No, nor have I. But yeah, they did used to finish with that, and then there was one tour where they finished with the Nina Simone song. Or like, no, they didn't play it. They played it over the speakers and stuff like that. Yeah, it was weird. But yeah, no, that's cool. So, wow, so both of you the same show, but you didn't know one another at the time.
No.
Oh right, wow. Well, there
you go. Doing the shit T-shirt gang, Niall. The £10 one wash militants. What was the other chant? I can't remember now. Something to do with the quality of the tea. You know how it goes.
Oh yeah. No, I remember outside Leeds cockpit there were always those guys. There were a fiver in those. In the 90s, it was a 5-year T-shirt, 7-year hoods.
5-year tees, 10-year hoods. Yeah. That's what.
Yeah, they used to get really annoyed if you accidentally trod on them. I'm like, you've put these on the pavement.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
What do you think's on my shoe that's worse than on a Leeds pavement?
Well, kicked it all off. We were doing £10 one wash, and then I think it was my brother pushed me onto his T-shirt, fucking diorama, and and then it all went mad. And yeah,
I love it.
I think you've got to respect the military precision with which they you go into the venue, you see the show, and they're outside lined up.
Oh yeah.
All of them. And it's like, do they just watch the last person go in and go, right, come on, quick?
Yeah.
The perfect day, I remember that NOFX had a T-shirt on sale that was like the front page of a newspaper, and it said Birmingham News or whatever, kids riot at punk show. And they must have had that T-shirt for every place, but with wherever the fuck, I don't know, London News or whatever. But yeah, I think that, and I remember they were ridiculously expensive, and I was like, might have to go and see the 5. They were ridiculously expensive, so I might have to go and see the 5-year tees, 10-year hoods, man.
Maybe. We've got a question now that's this can be a bit of a head scratcher. Do you have what do you think is the best way to sort of introduce NOFX to a non-fan?
I'd just have to stick with what I know and say, look, here's one called Punk in Drublic, here's Heavy Petting Zoo, here's fucking So Long.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to them.
Yeah.
And then if you like it, go out and listen to more. But I think, from my point of view anyway, I think you're going to get the full NOFX spectrum from them 3 records. Like I said, that's my era.
Yeah.
Because I bet there's nobody that stopped at S&M Airlines, is there? And went, this is don't get no better than this. So, so you know, probably that's where I would point people.
Cool. So you'd go for just sort of let's give you the vintage quintessence and see whether and then if you like that, then the rest of it will be reminiscent at worst.
And also, try and make sure that they don't do any research into Fat Mike's personality.
That's yes, a divisive person. Yeah.
My missus fucking hates him. Like, she's not into punk at all.
Right.
But I've watching documentaries and stuff, and she don't have enemies. The current Mrs. Sidwell, she don't. But he's her only enemy, I think, in life. She hates him.
Is it? Because I can sort of see it. I've always thought that you know when people say, you know, they do that thing. I'm just dead honest, mate. That's all it is. I'm just honest. That's all it is. I'm just honest. I'm sorry if you can't handle it. That's it.
Just saying what everyone's thinking, which is the code for I'm a wanker. Yeah,
that kind of thing. I sort of think that he's like that. Only he knows that what he's thinking or what he's saying is not what everyone's thinking. It's what he is very specifically thinking. So sort of, you know.
Yeah, I know this wasn't the question, right? But it's the arrogance for me. I can't. When he was younger, he had something to say. You know what I mean? And he's got loads of money, and fucking fair play to him, right? Never begrudge anyone that. But you can't be saying about the ills of the world and this is what it's like on the streets, man. When you're living in a it's just not real. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I used to think he was like funny and he had really insightful points about, you know, the mainstream music industry and punk rock, what it was becoming and what it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I'd be the same. He's obviously just got so much money, it don't matter anymore if he pisses people off or upsets people or fucks people off. And he can just say what he wants. And it's just like, yeah, stop trying to be edgy, mate.
Well,
but that's how I would tell people. That's what I say. Look, don't have any interviews with him, or just listen to it, and don't look at any pictures like I had to. You know, just look at some caricatures in the thing.
It's interesting actually because when that period, that sort of late 90s period, was when they didn't put pictures of themselves in. They didn't do any interviews. You couldn't find any.
No.
Even just like written interviews and stuff like you used to be able to find. You could find, you know, an online zine that Joey Cape had done an interview with, and you go, oh, that is interesting. Joey Cape likes this, and you know that would be fine. But no effects with that enigma, and sometimes it turns out you don't want that. You don't want certain questions answered.
Yeah, should have kept that up, shouldn't they?
Well, that's it when it sort of turned around. But I don't know. It is strange because I find Mike is the sort of person who uses terms like best rather than favourite. What he means is favourite, and what he says is best. And I'm always slightly wary of that, which is why we use favourite in this, because it, you know, if you, I mean, I've heard what you two have got to say about the Cramps, and I absolutely disagree with you. However, that's just how it goes sometimes. I fucking love the Cramps, okay?
Not Whole-Ass Hyena, though.
Say again?
Not Whole-Ass Hyena, surely. You don't... You're not going to excuse them that. That's the song that we slagged off on that.
Oh right,
compilation.
Hey, it's far from their. It's very far from their best. That was not peak era Cramps.
No.
But equally, I mean, it almost became. It was quite funny because one of you just went, I mean, and then another one went, they were shit, and then all of you went, yeah, get it, kid. You all smelt blood and just count. I don't know if you were upset you hadn't slagged off some other songs on there a bit more and went, oh, I'll just put it all into this anyway. But the point being, I thought I'm not going to bring that up. But anyway, the point being
subjective, isn't it?
But yeah, it's absolutely fine for someone to find the Cramps utterly shit. I'm. It's not the first time I've had that opinion in my ears before either. I wasn't like shocked.
Eddie, I went to a Cramps tribute not long after that, as sort of like, self-flagellation. I want to go and see if I was wrong, and it was all right.
Was it the Interiors?
Right. No, it was. They're all American. Well, half of them were Teenage Werewolves.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And it was their job, so they must go around the world pretending to be somebody else.
Fair enough. Ugh, how can they sleep at night? Oh, like actors, probably. But yeah, but that's the thing is like that's absolutely fine to vehemently dislike something, but to suggest that is some sort of fact, I find really just difficult to. But yeah, and Mike is very much one of those people who's like, this is the best thing, that's the best thing, and.
And that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. And I find that inflexibility. Well, you've seen what I'm like. Yeah, I find that inflexibility of thought to be a bit of a turn off. I must admit.
You're spot on because it's you can't like everything, but equally you can't hate everything. And I would never ever say you are wrong. Someone's opinion. That's just not how opinions work, is it?
Whereas Fat Mike did write and record a song called You're Wrong.
He did, didn't he?
That's true, and I really like that song as well.
Yeah, it's great.
But that's because it lines up, broadly speaking, with all of my views. So, obviously...
Yes.
So, perfectly willing to admit my own hypocrisy when it shows up. But that's, But the thing is that that's on quite important things. This is like, on what bands you like. It's like, that's fine as long as it's not Screwdriver. I think we're all right. It's...
Well, I don't know. The first album was all right.
No,
I'm kidding.
You know what I just said about that, not judging opinions?
Yeah.
For a minute, fuck that off. That first Screwdriver album is shit, and I don't care what anyone says. It is garbage.
Yeah, I think it was the fact that it wasn't ideologically reprehensible. They went, well, that's bound to be better than everything else. But
fucking edgelords, mate. Just people who want to say stuff to be controversial. Fuck 'em.
Well, maybe he should have spent a little less time being a shit and a little more time learning how to drive.
Exactly. Hey, that's not far from me, Comrade A38.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's people go to the tree every year and thank the tree. I always find out about it after the fact. I want to go down, and everyone's like, "Wee, nice one."
Want to go to Tree Fest?
Yeah.
Just play the specials really loudly at it. That'll do.
Yeah.
Amazing. Cool. What about yourself, Niall? What would you do to lure someone into the torrid web?
Well, there's the softly approach, which is probably making some sort of playlist or tape or mini disc if you're still into that sort of thing. Or there's going
more.
There's going straight in and just playing them the Decline from front to back and saying, "Fucking listen to this."
Yeah,
I like it.
That's a great idea.
We've not had anyone suggest a baptism of fire before.
Yeah, that's like a drop kick through a flaming window in terms of it's up there.
A bold approach of which I respect immensely. That's fantastic. Yeah, because it would that's virtually Stockholm syndroming someone.
Yeah.
By the end, they sort of walk out just going, la, 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 la. Oh, hello, everyone.
Nya, 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 nya.
Nya, nya, nya. Mother, play me the Nya Nya band, please. It's like some psyop thing going on. That's that's great. Love that.
That's another thing about NOFX, isn't it? Like, when you got into Green Day when you were a kid, your mum liked that, didn't she? She could tolerate Green Day.
Yeah. Could hear the words.
Like
Yeah, tolerate some of the rancid stuff. Wouldn't tolerate NOFX, would they?
No. I think there was a tape in my mum's car. On one side, it was So Long and Thanks for All the Shoes, and on the other, it was Nimrod. And didn't live very far away from school, but Mum was always going somewhere and would drop me and my sister off. And she was notably in a more cheerful mood the weeks that it was the Nimrod side playing when we got in, than when it was the So Long side. I never really put that together until well after the fact, when my sister was like, "Do you? I found that tape that you forced Mum to keep in the car." Do you remember how she was always really annoyed when it was NOFX? Oh yeah. So anyway, don't know how many years it took Mum's life with that, which is a shame. But she did she liked Nimrod.
It's a good record, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And much more mum friendly than because I think it was in one of them. It's got that bit where it goes from a major chord to the same chord in a minor, and it sounds like "Nowhere Man" by the Beatles, and I can't remember which song it is. And she was like, "Oh, that's very good. I like that." Anyway, yeah, we've got
good old mums.
Yeah, that's we've got 2 questions left. What do you think is NOFX's legacy? What's that going to look like?
I'm sorry, I'm going to be a bastard now. I'm not going to be a bastard. I'm going to say what I think. That's not being
Absolutely.
a bastard,
Please say what you think. Hey,
and it's nothing to do with Screwdriver neither.
In the Church of Fat Mike, which is where we are, to speak as one finds is the done thing.
Yeah, why not? Why pack it in now and not 20 years ago? And I don't know if this is an getting old thing, but these last 2 records, fuck me, they've tarnished their legacy a bit by going on a little bit too long, just a little bit. 10 years ago, I thought they were going to pack it in. After that fucking, when he made them remarks about that shooting in Las Vegas, I thought he's going to think, I'm 55, I've had enough. But he didn't, and he's carried on. I don't know, it just feels like it's just gone on a little bit too long. That's all. But the legacy is great records, loads of people into punk rock, solid foundations of friendships and great times being younger. And, of course, Fat Records as well. It's not to do with NOFX, but without NOFX, there wouldn't be a Fat Records.
Yeah.
And that was the ultimate gateway, wasn't it? Opened the world up to me. I found out there was punk bands from England that were still going, via Fat Records, Snuff, Goober Patrol, and all that. And I was like, well...
assumed, but they were on there, weren't they?
Yeah. I was like, well, bugger me,
Yeah.
It's not just Americans, we're doing it as well.
It's really weird to think, isn't it, that of a certain generation, one pretty much the one that we're talking about, the idea that punk was almost an exclusively American genre, which would have caused all of the 77 lot to, I don't know, ask for more change. I don't know, but
they did. They fucking hated it though, didn't they?
Yeah.
They really, the 77ers, they couldn't cope with it.
No, really weird that they went, oh no, these people have heard a thing and decided to do their own thing with it. Well, I hate that.
Yeah. Why isn't it exactly like this 18 months when I was young?
Yeah, exactly.
That little snapshot in time. And I guess I'm doing it a bit as well. And if people like the later NOFX albums, fucking have at it, right?
Yeah.
Be my guest. But for me, I guess didn't get too rich. It became obvious that their lives were completely and utterly now detached from mine.
Right, yeah.
The Bush administration, right? When he was singing about that, I could sort of buy into how that was affecting him then. But now, economic hard times, it's not going to bother them. I don't know. I sound bitter. I'm not trying to sound bitter. But yeah, that's for me. Just the great records, that record label, the good times, the spreading of punk rock around the world. Actually, because I think they put a shift in on that front as well, getting the word out there about themselves and other bands. But for me, it just went on a little bit too long.
Well, it's if you're going to have Life of Brian, you've got to accept Meaning of Life is going to be there as well, I suppose. It's one of those. It's one of those things. It's you can't be sure that they've put out their best until you think they start putting out stuff that's not as good as their best. I suppose it's double check. It's like how I eat food. I need to make sure I'm full, so I'll just keep eating until it's deeply uncomfortable, and then I know I've definitely had enough food. That's
it's like chasing the dragon, isn't it? Like, wow, fucking so long is amazing, and you want that again, don't you?
You do, yeah.
But it's never come.
But it's that thing as well as much as I always think it's sort of very important that as long as people are making the art, whatever it is they're doing, that they genuinely want to make. If it's not for me, that's fine. If they're making the stuff that they think people want to hear, that's when it starts to become sort of genuinely bad, I suppose, in my mind anyway. So if they're the albums that they want to make, then cool. It might just not be the albums I choose to put on. And all the other ones are still there. That's the thing. It's when...
The question I want to ask him is, if single album landed on your desk at Fat Wreck Towers, would you sign that? Do you know what I mean? On the strength of that? Because the answer's probably not. I'd imagine. I don't know. Well, he'd probably go, yeah, sure I would. But I don't know.
Really caught you out with that one.
Good impression there, wasn't it?
You go, yeah, sure I would. Yeah. That's what I imagine would happen. Cool. Well, no, do you know what? I think, most of that stuff I absolutely agree with. All of that stuff about the, the record label and what sort of ambassadors they were for punk rock, I guess. What about you, Niall?
Broadly similar. Although there's probably a controversial opinion, but I really enjoyed First Ditch Effort, and I think that would have been a solid cap on everything. I don't think there was any sort of need for single and double album. Whether it's him getting like his backlog of written but unreleased tracks out or whatever.
I always thought, I think the purpose of those two albums was because they were struggling to tour at the time due to the comments about the Las Vegas shooting. So they basically were like, oh, well, if we can't tour for these 2 years, we'll just release 2 back-to-back albums, because they just wanted something to do and something to put out, I believe.
But like on the flip side of the whole, the wells sort of dried up kind of thing in terms of, quality, like songs and albums and stuff, you've got people like Ginger Wildheart who are still churning out like stone cold bangers, 40 years later.
Oh, absolutely.
I think his biggest legacy is going to be not just Fat Records, but like what Fat Record just like defined since the very start. Because the big two, obviously, for a certain generation with Fat Records and Epitaph, it was always, you were always looking for the next Fatarama or not Fatarama, sorry, Tom, the next Fat Records compilation and the next, Punkorama. Well, Epitaph just kind of went with the money, as it were. They went with whatever was cool. And the fact that Fat Wreck kind of just ploughed that furrow for so many years, and it's a distinct sound. It's like it is the Fat Wreck sound. Just the bands that maybe not so much these days, but the bands that he's brought through. He's obviously, we touched upon bands like Snuff and Goober Patrol. And the whole 77 thing, it kind of feels like they were keeping bands like Leatherface, Snuff, and all that kind of away from us.
Yeah.
It was like, oh no, we can't let these, because it blew my mind when I first heard Snuff, and it was like they've been going since 1986.
Yeah.
When I was listening to fucking Queen, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
this existed, but yeah, it was held away. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I think like it sort of spreads away from Fat Mike as well to, you know, Erin, who's like pretty much running the label nowadays, and I think that it's always going to be there in some form or another. And yeah, again, good times when you're a youngster and you listen to like this really dangerous music with like fast guitars, fast drummers, and a little bit of swearing.
Ooh. Oh, I. But yeah, I absolutely. I think that's really spot on. Yep, love that. So we come to the final question in our list. The most controversial. I think we know what Tom's answer is already, but we'll ask. We'll ask it nonetheless. Tom and Nial from the Midlife Punk podcast. Who is your favourite member of NOFX, and why is it Fat Mike? Who's your favourite member of NOFX?
I'm sorry, it is definitely not him. Smelly for me.
Smelly.
Yeah,
cool.
Low key, named my son after him as well.
Not Smelly, like his real name.
Yeah, he's not. Yeah, I'm not saying that.
Well,
the boy kid
Smellium
is named after him. Yeah, low key. And she doesn't know, so if she listens to this,
nice.
You've done
so there might not be a current Mrs. Sidwell if she finds this out. But yeah, you know, in that book, the hepatitis bathtub and other stories that they put out, he should have said, "Fuck you lot, I'm doing my own book." You know, he lived it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had a shit time growing up. Yep. Some parts of that are relatable to me, but he was just in it, and he chose the drums to play, and he was never about all being him. It was, he just went and he just he found punk rock and he loved it, and it was his church and his safe place or whatever, his heroin place as well, yes. But
that's the problem with churches; they're full of heroin.
He got past that, but he just strikes me as a clever, decent, hardworking bloke, and he doesn't seem to take it for granted. My only criticism of it is more recently he's looked more and more bored every gig. Because he's so good at drums, it's not an effort. If I was playing like that, I'd be drenched in fucking sweat, right? Yeah. And he's just doing it like it's natural.
He's always had that thing where his hands are barely moving. It looks like he's barely brushing them, and he's been doing it ever since I can remember seeing him. I always thought, wow, but he's like a swan. Everything under where you can't see, his legs are going crazy, and or his one leg is.
I've got to say, I do not view myself as anywhere near his league of playing the drums, but I play like that. Arms don't move, wrists, everything. That's how I play, and I probably indirectly or directly, but without realizing, picked that up. From him, because he uses a single kick pedal, right? Sorry to get all drum tech.
No, this is good.
And I learnt to do that. Boom, boom. Like when you're doing the blast beat thing with one pedal. And that was quite hard to do. And he sort of pioneered that, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that thing of... it was like when Tommy Ramone he did all 8 beats on the hi-hat, but just way faster. And, Trey Cool has managed to turn that into millions and millions of dollars. But it's really hard when you're going at that speed, because most people just cut it down to 4, and it's a lot easier. But you miss something, you lose something in that cutting it out. So it is that all those little things do make a difference. But he's one of the. He's a very, very imitated drummer. He might be the most imitated member of NOFX music.
I reckon so.
I would say so.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Lovely. Niall, what about you?
Also Smelly. Like Tom just said, he's a drum pioneer, and his story in Hepatitis Bathtub, it was just like, I feel he gets put upon a lot, and obviously after 30 odd years, he's learned to kind of take it on the chin, and he just turns up, does his job. I think he's the most interesting in the terms of, apart from the stories in the Hepatitis Bathtub, you don't really know that much about him compared to Fat Mike, El Jefe, and Melvin. And he's the one I think I would probably most like to sit down and have a Coke Zero with.
Yeah. He does.
Let's try and get him on the podcast, Niall.
When we get
quick before they hear us, do it now.
Look, I would imagine that everyone, even loosely associated with NOFX, has had someone go, "Do I recognize you?" Go, "Oh yeah, I El Jefe." Go, "Oh, I play guitar in a band." That's right. Your bass player's a piece of shit. And they're sat there and just giving them a whole earful about, what a prick one of their mates is. So I imagine all of them have heard that, and probably, judging by the book, all felt that about him and the rest of the band at other times as well. There's the bits where Smelly was like, "Look, I get we're all having a good time, but can you not do cocaine in front of me on stage? Because, I've got this many years drug-free, and it's a little bit much."
Yeah, the thing that was the measure of the man for me was in the Hepatitis Bathtub. Like, he'd just come back from rehab, with the one that had worked.
Yeah,
and he went to the practice room, and that idiot cracks open a fucking can of lager and is like, "Hey, well done, mate." And you're like, "Come on."
Yeah.
You'd be hard pressed to find someone who wouldn't have twatted him after that.
Exactly. I'd have put him on his arse, but a measure of the man, as I say.
Well, but it would seem that all that's immaterial because they're still really, really good mates. And I guess, and again, we know the public face of all of these people, and we don't necessarily know the, the behind closed doors type, thing. I guess, anyway.
You're right, Eddie, again.
Everyone, I know,
like
and that's the worst thing about it. This is why this podcast will never be a success. We don't have any hot takes because I just go, "Oh, well, maybe." Useless, isn't it? I mean, according to some of the comments, it'll be a better show without me in it. So maybe they're right. But, it's just going to be hot takes, baseless hot takes. Maybe, yeah. It's more fun. I always, I've been saying to Red, if our numbers don't pick up, then we are just going to turn into a drama channel. You will not believe what they've been saying about Blink-182. We'll see you after the intro. Yeah, it's gonna be TMZ for punks. Anyway. Thank you ever so much, Tom and Niall. Would you like to let people know where they can find the Midlife Punk podcast, or anything else that you've got going on that you would like to air to our listeners?
Midlife Punk podcast is everywhere you can get your podcast from, your Spotify's, Deezer, Amazon Music, all them. And then if you're a Luddite, we also share the links on our social medias, and you can stream it directly from your browser. But yeah, we'd love to have you come and have a listen. It's not serious. We're not bastards. We just want to have a laugh. That's all we want to do. And as you'll hear, some bands come expecting a very serious conversation about something, and they just don't get it.
No,
he won't mind me saying, but Jordan from Incisions, the band Incisions?
Yeah.
Super hardcore, serious, right?
From like Manchester.
From Manchester, he comes on and he was giving it all the I'm super serious. And by the end, he was answering questions about who's got the smelliest farts and everything. It was a really beautiful thing to see. And he ended up having a really good time in the end. It's a laugh, it's a mess about, it's people late 30s all the way. We've got listeners sort of mid 50s. And, any and all's welcome. Even if you like the Cramps, we don't really hold it against you. We just have a mess about, really. And
At one point, we were the 84th most popular podcast in Belgium as well. So we're hanging on to that.
Wow.
That was a good week.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, some Belgians can't be wrong, right? So give them a listen. The Midlife Punk podcast. Thank you ever so much for coming along. We really, really appreciate it. You are both punk rock elite. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
No problem.
Well, there we go. I think we've set all manner of records straight there.
Absolutely, we have.
Cracking guys. Really, really like them. Do go and check out their podcasts. Really, what a lovely, open and above all, frank conversation.
Absolutely, and it's it's really nice to talk about specific eras in NOFX's history and people's very personal relationships and memories with the band.
Yeah, I'm very pleased I managed to get them to recount some of their aggressive opinions, but also, I didn't want to bully them into being nice to the other children because that would really take an edge off of what they do. But
I think there was a couple of times you made them feel bad.
I might have done, and I do apologise for that because that was never my intention.
Absolutely.
But it's really weird because the only time I've ever tried to make other people feel bad, I end up feeling worse. God, I'm pathetic. Anyway, that's what I've really learned from this episode is just my own level of patheticness. But yeah, really nice to sort of hear from that angle as well, and also mentioning just the sort of how restricted we were to our own homegrown 90s punk rock in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's wild, isn't it? The idea that we had to wait for an American company or several American companies to actually go, oh, right, well, if no one's going to put your stuff out, like I say, Snuff, been around since 86.
Yeah.
Only 3 years less than NOFX. That's wild.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy.
So we're... So yeah, what a wonderful episode. I don't think there's really much more to top it off. I wouldn't want to outstay the welcome, so because it's probably quite a long one today. But yep, cool. Well, if you enjoyed it, let us know. If you didn't, let us know. You can comment on our socials. You can go to punkrockelitepodcast@gmail.com and let us know. But until then, we'll see you next time. Bye, Rad.
See ya. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to Punk Rock Elite. It was a Pick Scraped and Fruitcake co-production by Eddie French and Red Redmond. If you're not following us on Instagram or subscribe to the podcast, please do. The main theme and production was done by Eddie French. Please contact us at punkrockelitepodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.